Let me know if you fuck with me. Welcome back to another episode of Dream Chasers Insanity. It is your host, the dropout professor, the dark wizard, the cosmic nomad, the intellectual sex symbol, Disney. All first name, no last, because you know where I come from, straight from hell. So, check out this little intro right here. Check out the board, check out the board, check out the board. Another quick welcome to class before we get into the episode. You know, got to promote myself because I hate being poor. So if you'd like to support this channel directly, you can contribute monthly by hitting our Patreon link below, and you can have early access to videos, and you will be mentioned in the end credits of our YouTube videos. I'm editing those, so I'll make sure to keep them up to date as much as possible. But I do record a bunch of episodes early, so just know if you don't see your name in there, the immediate next or after episode, you're going to be in there real soon. So jump up in there, give me some money. And then if you'd like to rep the brand, which is my clothing brand, which I've been struggling to fully put out into the world and actualize. And I've been attempting to hide it all behind like, oh, well, I don't have money to lose on this, or like, I don't have money for this to not work. And I just realized like, dude, if you know the dream is valuable and it's supposed to kick and it's supposed to go, and people can genuinely, even slightly see what you see as the vision for the project, you have to put it out. It doesn't matter, bro. Like the negatives and the fear, it's all inner critic bullshit, made up stuff to continue to prolong procrastination. And I feel like I've allowed myself to procrastinate so much so, I've literally, apologize for using this phrase, mentally masturbated the entire life cycle of the brand maybe 1,000 times. And I've realized it's all to avoid addressing. Do the brand. If it goes, it goes. If it fails, it fails. But success, like a video we made a couple weeks ago, is always in your hands. You determine what success is. And for me, success is freedom. Success is authenticity in my ability to create and express myself. Success is infinite abundance and actualizing that into material reality. Whether I deserve it or not, whether I was born to it or not, whether I'm entitled to it or not, I feel as if I'm willing to take responsibility for the path, and I'm willing to take responsibility for all the consequences that come with it. With all that being said, if you'd like to contribute to the journey that is Cosmic Nomad's Rebel Souls clothing brand, and very soon, Fashion Empire, Underground Monopoly, CosmicNomadsRebelSouls.shop. Go ahead and check out the link. And if you sign up for our SMS list, you will get 10% off your first order and a bunch of random exclusive sales and offers and discount codes as we continue to grow and build our brand. Just a sign of appreciation for those who continue to do that extra step to make sure that we can keep on running how we do. We only see growth in the future. We only see infinite expression and authenticity. I'm going to keep saying those words a lot because it's essential that creative artists hold those words in the back pocket like a toolbox almost. For you smokers, like a pack of cigarettes. It's essential, you know, not just what the words mean semantically to the world, but what the words mean to you and your ability to access those concepts or those areas of this life. How much better can that allow your life to be, not just for yourself, but how much more in tune can you be with the life that you came here to live before all of this social expectation was imposed upon you? I get money, I get money, I get money. Okay. So, now that we're out of the way for the promo, actually, I think there's something I'm forgetting. What's that freaking thing I'm forgetting, man? If you think I'm cute, you want to have Instagram. Can't cancel the real nickel. Before we even get like too deep into this, I need you to definitely not compare yourself to people who have had great access to accommodations and opportunity and resource and support. If you're somebody like myself who's creating much of this path for yourself, you have to give yourself some grace, because real success, real growth, real building takes a long time. This isn't like an Instagram, social media. Oh, you want to make 100 figures in 6 months? Like, no. This is a slow, meticulous, I hope that I'm using the right word, process, consistent process, intentional process, difficult process, lonely at times process. But you have to realize that you are not the only person that you are supposed to be relying on in this world. We as human beings, before this whole private ownership and individualism and colonialism started taking over our modern world, our real world before that stuff ruined it, we had always been connected to the environment, to our surroundings, to our people, and been able to give appreciation to that. Because we know as much as we invest in it, it is going to support us, and vice versa. So let me help just shake your brain back into perfect cognition and remind you, hey, the foundation that you have might not even be conducive of actually living a life to where you can receive the information I'm trying to give you, or even apply the information I'm trying to give you to your life and see the changes that will help you be like, oh, okay, this nigga knows what he's talking about. So let's establish a foundation first. And as I go over this, you got to realize many people don't have access to this stuff. Whether it's awareness, whether it's access, whether it's accessibility. I might just use the same word twice, but many people don't have access to this stuff, or are repressing their own ability to have access to this. For again, the convenience that is sold to us in our world. Hey, how about we make your human life a little bit more convenient while taking away more and more personal responsibility away from you? So you are at the mercy of whoever is taking responsibility for solving your circumstances, whether they solve them or not. The power is simply in the hands of the person who takes responsibility. So let's establish the foundation first, and then we'll get into the more existential, time-based reasoning I got over here that might be able to give you a better understanding of how you can create peace in your life when you feel like you're existing in times of chaos. So let's get into this, huh? Your inner light. Many people think the soul is just like another thing, like a liver or like a lung that is sitting inside the body. And you don't realize it is the essence of who you are, the unique signature that you are. But in the world that we live in, it is very heavily shameful and self-rejecting as a means of making as many people submit to the validation of the master class or whatever class is ruling above them. But for people like me who don't submit to that, you have to realize that true salvation comes from being able to connect your inner truth with the external world, and knowing that you can fully live in alignment with this energy that literally controls you and your being, because it is a very niche, specialized aspect or fractal of the infinite collective. And in your ability to not only take care of the self, but to live a full life, to be fully present, to be engaged, to learn, to lose, to give, to gain, to receive, and all of that, your experience, you're logging into the collective consciousness. But mind you, again, going back to colonialism and how we're literally walking ourselves back into the dark ages. Colonial and European science does not want to admit the spiritual aspect of science and the metaphysical nature of science, because that forces us not only to take out privatized healthcare, but that also forces us to admit how the leading religion that these people follow is just used to perpetuate their international war games and imperial colonialism, rather than actually be a spiritual practice that can take care of people and help them contribute the best they can to this living experience while we're alive, because this is all we have. There is nothing else after this, and there's nothing before this. for what we know. And even if there is, it gives us thinking that life exists outside of the present now reality beneath the sky above the ground stops us from fully investing ourselves in what could possibly be right here, right now. Because that's the only time we have to share as a collective in material form. And let me add on to that, that's the only time we as a collective have to share and collaborate and commune and compete against each other in separated form. Because before we come here to live our human experience, before we detach ourselves from the collective to live individual human experiences in individual human bodies, we are all connected. So what better way to learn than to fractal yourself into all the life that exists and learn from being against, running against the grain of the infinity that you are. So all of us as human beings, I guess we could have started here, just the human vessel, but I wanted to make sure that it's almost like it's a progression from the literal depth of who you are. You're not supposed to feel like I am this one body, this one little body in this universe, and everybody hates me and everyone's out to get me and the devil and demons and this and that. Like, no, you might be one human being because your experience is important and your ability to take responsibility for it is very important. But you are connected to a collective. And our way as human beings, pre or anti-colonialism, of understanding that we are collective in community, no matter how separate we are, is by creating communities that associate each other in systems of tribes or families, rather than cults of identity, which again I speak about and I've spoken about in a video last month. The way of the human being who actually appreciates humanity for what it is knows that humans have to exist in community with others, not just with the family that owns them, private ownership, another bullshit ideology spread by the colonists. But the community is responsible for raising the children that are born by the families. See, many people don't even have access not only to community, but don't have access to a two-parent household, don't have access to blood relatives at all, don't have access to healthy blood relatives at all, and maybe don't even have access to a local community because we continue to take money and resources away from poor people to give rich people more super yachts and private jets. Because that makes the world a better place. Right. And then the con that we were sold, hey, just sell out all your communities and we're going to create a country that serves all of us people. It only serves a certain color and kind of people, but... And then as we'd only lose access. You can see, as I'm explaining this, I hope that you're really getting the only thing that's left of the human being is the human being. Like that's the vessel is the only thing you have in this world. So you start here and you have to start reworking and understanding your connections and your relationships and your supports and how much all of this plays a role in influencing your ability to just exist simply. Some people start climbing the ladder to the top on the Empire State Building, and some people start from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Do you think somebody who's never had to exist in the ocean can give you advice as to how to swim up from the bottom of the ocean? Do you think somebody who takes elevators and private jets and private helicopters is going to help you understand how to swim in the ocean to the surface? They might be able to help you understand what the surface looks like, but... So I understand that every single time I try to get into like the infrastructure and stuff, it always ends up getting super political, but how could it not? Like genuinely, how could it not? I'm explaining to you, hey, Maybe human beings should have access to personal privacy and their own truth, as well as the ability to cultivate it and align with communities that support them in doing that, rather than being owned by parents and families who abuse it out of them, or at least attempt to. Maybe human beings should have basic human rights and protections so corporations don't decide that they need to make a bag off of essential industry and then wonder why people have all of these ailments and issues because you're treating them like robot slit. Or how about people should, if not having access to their blood family and access to healthy relationship maintenance within that, should probably have access to a community, and a community that not only supports them for who they are and accommodates them for the right now, but gives them access to opportunities and resources to live a better life than one being reflected in their current reality. But maybe that's too much. Maybe that's too much. Or how about the people, like the country and the nation and the people who actually run that, actually knowing what humanity is and caring for humanity? Oh, wait. They have been so served and so entitled their whole entire lives, they don't even know what it means to be human anymore. They only know what it means to own capital, even if that capital means other human beings. And as long as we can justify that human is capital, not human, then we can justify doing whatever we want to it as a means of gaining more capital or protecting the power that already exists. Mind you, do you have to be a Harvard grad to figure this stuff out? No. Do you have to go to the top 10 colleges in America? Do you have to have a BlackRock or a Vanguard summer internship? I hope when we're watching my videos, at least, it's like you understand. I'm not speaking about, okay, I am speaking about rich people because it's just stupid how they live. I'm speaking about how it's not just the world is in a bad place. There's not even room for basic human beings to exist. If that is the reality right now, and people are not willing to address it, where are we in 10 years? I promise to God, this AI boom everyone's banking on is not going to be what everybody thinks it is. It won't be what everybody thinks it is. And when we as a collective finally realize that tech bros cannot save us from ourselves or personal responsibility over our own lives and circumstances, and all they've been doing is selling us lies and dreams and hopes that will never get fulfilled, then we get back to a point where we realize, oh shit. Oh shit. We were supposed to stand up for what we believed in. We were supposed to stand up for who we were and our people and those who supported us. We were supposed to invest our whole time and energy and lives into what we cared about and what we loved. All the things that we dream of, we were supposed to do, and all the things that we hate, we're forcing ourselves to do for validation that's never going to fulfill us for not being able to have access to the first thing I just described. Man, like, with all this being said, bro, I want you to realize that as long as you're focusing on controlling what you can control, there is nothing to fear. I guarantee you, whatever higher power that exists will see the intention that you're putting towards your life, will see the calls that you're making for assistance, for mercy, for protection, for blessing. We'll see you. There's nothing new under the sun, and there's nothing that goes unseen under the sun. But you have to, one thing I'm realizing in this journey, especially for myself, you have to always be your authentic self. You have to always be real. You have to always be who you believe you are. You have to always be the person that you desire to be, or at least becoming that person. And the reason why I say that is because that's what the universe, that's what the higher power needs to see out of you, so it knows how to accommodate you in better actualizing that. But if you're telling yourself internally that you want to be something and then going out into the world and hanging out with people who shit on you, hanging out with people who repress your emotions, hanging out with people who invalidate your dreams or your truth, hanging out with everybody outside of you, but you never being able to be there for yourself, it's going to feel like you're being ripped into two realities, having to choose between the social identity that validates you and the immediate social circle that you want to love you versus being who you are and losing everybody who doesn't really love you so you can create the space for people who actually do appreciate and love and respect you to be there and give you a new hope and new sense of faith and belief in life again. But not because you're finally getting validated for something that you were trying to force yourself to be by grilling a mask onto your face, by accepting the shame and the pain, the suffering that comes with letting expectations go and allowing life to be as it is for you specifically. Because only in knowing that would we even have the inspiration to protect other people's, especially other humans' ability to do that in this reality as well. So let's get into explaining why I don't believe time is real and how the only way to save yourself truly from uncertainty, from confusion, from the mental monstrosities that happen, whether it's due to emotional or existential dysregulation, how are we going to conquer that? How are we going to put ourselves above that to best utilize that opportunity to either become a more in tune, a more clear version of ourselves, or at least maintain the value that we've been cultivating pre-chaos? All right, let's get into it. Wishing they could fool with me. Now I say good luck to one. I say good. All right. This is a post that I made on my TikTok like a week ago. No, actually probably a couple days ago. But again, time doesn't work in this brain. That's why I'm just getting so about everything in my life. So this is a little quote I got here, and then I'll explain it to you a little bit more. You are not being punished by the universe. You are being asked to pivot yourself into alignment with the reality you dream about in your reality. I should have put real life there. Didn't even realize I already put reality right there. But don't second guess yourself, because the first time I put real life. So that's just a sign of the times, huh? The reason why I say this is because my life only got better. Only got better when I put myself in a position to realize, you know what? Things aren't happening to me, they're happening for me. And as long as I'm willing to put myself on the perspective of positivity in these dark times, whether there is a solution there for me or not, I give myself the presence to be patient enough to see the opportunity that I need. Whether that opportunity is a way out, it's a solution to end this current suffering, or it's a completely different path I need to pursue to uncork or unwind this knot that I've got myself in my present. We live in a society that has people thinking you work a certain amount of time to be somebody, and then you spend your whole life being that somebody until you die. Instead of realizing that's your whole life. You're constantly in a process of becoming and being and learning to let go as your life is starting to reflect new responsibilities, or as your heart is starting to inspire or start to excite new dreams and desires to be pursued. And I'm not sitting here telling you that every time you want to do something like squirrel, 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 you got to jump on it. But I'm asking you to validate the voice that sits within you just as much as you validate the expectations that other people have of you that don't know you or have to spend as much time with you as you do. Because you have to wake up and go to sleep with yourself every day. And if you aren't even comfortable with that, nobody else in your life is going to make you be able to override that discomfort. And even if they do, you're putting the expectations of self-acceptance onto an other person, setting them up to disappoint you and setting you up for resentment of somebody who should have never had the responsibility of healing your specific perspective. That's what personal responsibility is so important here. When we don't want to take responsibility, we project responsibility outside of us. Because think about this right here. I know everybody has this person in their lives. For me, I cut them all off because I hate dealing with this bullshit. If you have a problem, I'm going to provide answers or I'll listen. But if you're just talking problems, you're going to have to share them with somebody else, bro. I got too much shit to handle. The person who projects responsibility literally doesn't realize they're doing this. They might not realize they're doing this, but they're reinforcing within their own brain, I do not have the credibility or the authority to address this specific circumstance. And because of that, or maybe I just don't have the strength and I'm actually lazy and that's just the other option. But because of that, I'm going to put the responsibility of doing into somebody else's hands so I can prolong my procrastination or avoidance of what is going on that needs to be addressed. Two major things here. It could be I'm avoiding it because I'm afraid of the change that will inevitably occur based on me addressing this issue. Or it could be I'm afraid of losing, almost one and the same, but I'm afraid of losing my current state and identity and the comfort that I have in this life, because addressing that is going to ask me to take responsibility for new habits, new behaviors, new decisions. And I don't want to do that now, even if I know that is calling me. It's weird. That's why it's so important to have a relationship with yourself, because you even have to be willing to not only listen to the calls that your soul is giving you, but also be willing to say, hey, slow down. I'm putting my focus and attention right here, and I will come back around to get that, or I will find a way to complement both of these, but I'm still very focused and very intentional on what I'm working on, what I'm making love to, what I'm dreaming about, and allowing everything else to be a byproduct of my ability to live fully in my present moment. You don't miss anything that is meant for you. Everything that is meant for you is cyclical, comes back around. The things that aren't meant for you are linear, and they're trying to get you off of your own cyclical path. When you don't project responsibility, you understand exactly what I'm saying. You're not somebody who wants to avoid the struggle necessarily, and you aren't somebody who wants to, live as a consequence of the struggle, of course, but you understand how important it is. You understand that pressure makes diamonds mentality. And that's what you pursue because you understand, you know what, put me through the fire. Whatever I am will come out the other side. Actually, let me reinforce that because I think that's a very, very important perspective. Put me through the fire because whatever I am, in spite of all the masks and all the material I've put to cover up myself, whatever I am will survive. And I will work with that, with whatever survived the fire, the purge that came to take my ego completely off, to showcase what this thing is that my ego is protecting. And then allow me to, again, not kill the ego. We don't do that here. To give power back to the truth that you are and find a way to actualize that energy through your material human being. Actualize that through your relationships and the community that you engage with. Actualize that through your purpose and how you contribute to your country or your world. And realize that we aren't being punished by life above us like a golden shower pissing down on us. We're being asked to co-create, to invest our dreams, our inspirations, our passions, our pursuits into this world. whether it's a yay or a nay. We're putting ourselves out into the world and we're literally ping-ponging with the universe. Meet halfway, meet halfway, meet halfway. But the only way to meet the universe halfway is giving 100%. That's the trick about it all. And I'd like to conclude that part, honestly, before we get into this, I won't say more important, but another important part of this clip here. The reason why I even explained all of this is because I want you to know, fundamentally, the world can tell you anything it wants to tell you, but the truth is a feeling. And as long as you take the time to cultivate a healthy mind, body, soul, a healthy human being, an aware, a present, and engaged human being, as long as you're taking the responsibility of doing that, you will be able to have a truth that resonates with you from within. And I'm telling you, when I say that the truth is a feeling, it is not a definitive thing. It is not a this or that. It is a feeling that exists within you that you have to have discernment in your awareness to be able to access. And when you start taking, again, responsibility for your ability to do those things, to see those things, to feel those things, to be and become and to release and to sacrifice, you're going to realize that you are just as deserving of access to whatever truth and wisdom it is you need to actualize your journey to the fullness of its potential. And nobody should hold you back from that or prevent you from accessing that in this life, as long as you believe they shouldn't. When you're looking at a little final note, I know I'm giving so many final notes. When you're looking at life as a set of expectations that need to be fulfilled, almost like a to-do list, rather than constant opening, refreshing, changing opportunities that open the doors for new opportunities, for new experiences, for new identities to be assumed, you're going to constantly set yourself up for disappointment, and that disappointment is going to lead you to lowering your ability to dream until your ability to dream is so damn low, you are completely a consequence of whatever society decides to validate your social identity as. That's why it's so hard to be a dreamer in this world. That's why it's so hard to be a visionary, bro, because so many people have just over time set themselves up to fail, failed horribly, and then blame everybody else except themselves. And then now, to protect you, but really to protect themselves, they have to make sure you don't actualize your truth or live your truth or express yourself authentically, because that shows them they were also complicit in rejecting their own selves and stopping their ability to actualize their truth as well. And that's the shit that a lot of people go insane about on their deathbed. But they die right after they get to that conclusion. So it's like, how do you even communicate that to people? Let's get into understanding how we can be a creator or a co-creator with time rather than a consequence of time to actualize the reality that we desire to live in, without just feeling like a complete, total reject because we don't live on this 9-to-5 slave shit. All right, part 3 coming up. All right. Yes, time is real, but not the time they feed us. Time is a social construct. And of course, I'm going to do some more research on this. I'm not going to act like I don't do any research on anything. But time is a social construct. You should know this, and I'll show you how right now. We are present-based beings. And one thing I'm realizing is that colonialism not only stole us from our culture, but stole us from the ability to regulate ourselves on our own body-aware time clock system. The problem with that is now we are all rejecting the calls of our own time as a means of submitting to a system that has put our validation in being human on the other side of being complete or validated by it. Instead of recognizing our humanity and the difference or divergence in our humanity, and that this system, in colonizing us and destroying our land and culture, it owes us humanity, especially for all the ways it exploits us to create this certain reality. So, time is something you have to become aware of almost genetically and culturally. I don't believe we as all human beings exist on the same time. And I don't know if you want to call it a one world order, a new world order. It already exists. We're all following the Gregorian calendar, and we're all following the 24/7 time schedule. This is why I think, and this might be a bad theory, but I'm still developing it. This is why integration made me so angry. Thinking about the consequences of integration after the civil rights movement in America made me so angry, because we as a black people, and mind you, there are so many different types of black underneath black people umbrella. I think people forget to realize we aren't all the same just because we're all American now. We still owe it to ourselves to accommodate the differences in time that we live under and the differences that we need to accommodate ourselves and live this human life. And it's going to be very, very, very difficult for America to actualize itself how it wants to if it's constantly attempting to say, you know what, suppress, 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 invalidate, suppress, reject, invalidate, shut down, dehumanize. Because there's only so much of that you can do before realizing that you're just trying to snuff out every fire. There is no means of actually creating something for the people to be engaged in, for the people to accommodate, again, accept their truth, their different ability to regulate, and then find a system that umbrellas all of that without suppressing the need to accommodate it. But again, I'm telling you, America shoots itself in the foot, the head, the gut all the time, bro. And I don't really care what the future is about this place. I'm just discussing what's about to happen. This is how I've allowed myself to perceive time. And after I finish describing this, I'll tell you what I go about as a means of perceiving it to actually make things happen in this world as somebody who doesn't live on that traditional 24/7, 9-to-5 scale. Non-traditional life path person. NTLP2 squared, I will get that out for you guys soon. But I'm dropping all the other Cosmic Nomad shirts, so you might as well just jump on that right now anyway. Feel me? So let's get into this. Existentially, like literally before you even have the ability to perceive linear time, existentially, we're living in a scarcity-based reality. Mind you, scarcity is manufactured on purpose to make crabs in a bucket social systems, to have people who don't have access to anything claw each other to the death to access more crumbs than their neighbor, from people who have access to the cake, another cake, actually every single cake. But the only reason we even have crumbs is because they forget that crumbs can fall off a cake, then you're not eating it. So this manufactured scarcity leads us as a collective into mass survival mode. Mind you, I genuinely believe survival mode is humans acting in their animalistic nature. So you're telling me that the leaders of society understand survival mode and scarcity that is manufactured is going to make human beings act more animalistic over less because of their increased desperation. Okay, something is starting to feel intentional here. But I won't discuss anything too specific until we start to see more consequences, which we will. The survival mode is fundamentally fundamentally going to dysregulate your whole entire ability to even exist in the present moment. This is why I had to start that above the linear time scale that we exist under, because I want you to know this is a literal rotten knife in the back of the human being that is corrupting all the systems. Every individual system is being consequenced by this rusty knife. So now let's get into this time and how living linearly is damn near punishing you from even accessing your own potential. First, let me make sure this is still recording because you know what this shit like to do to me. All right, good. Look at time as energy. Okay? Time is energy. Actually, I'm coming up with a great idea in my head right now. I just want to make sure that it makes sense. Okay. No, that wasn't a good idea. Let me just go through this. When your energy is not prioritized in the present moment and then utilizing its position in the present moment to perceive the future and the past, your energy starts to get ripped from the present moment and dispersed into the future and the past and all these other realities that don't, mind you, listen closely here, all these other realities that don't exist as significantly as the present moment does. This is where we get into the conversation of mental masturbation, because you can literally go through the motions, go through the steps, go through the routines, study as much as possible, and know every step you need to take. But in that process being so exhausting, you feel as if you're actually actualizing something or you're actually doing work when you're not. You are running the marathon in your brain and you're going to sleep off of the stress that you've just occurred in your brain rather than realizing you need to start taking some real life steps. Forget overthinking the marathon. Jump the treadmill, hit the park, hit the track. We need real life application. And we can't affect the future in the future. We can only affect the future by taking responsibility of what we can change right now and being intentional in our current habits. And then, again, believing in what future we're attempting to manifest while being open enough to accept whatever future presents itself to us. But at the end of the day, it'll always be a consequence of what we're aware of and what we're willing to consciously change within our lives. If you're not able to understand that the future doesn't exist on the front end, the future is just daydreams, truly daydreams as a consequence of our current circumstances. People who genuinely enjoy their present moment and their present circumstances, I'm not saying that they don't dream about the future. They just don't escape their present to the future for salvation from what they aren't willing to address right now. The future is the guiding light, but they know it's the guiding light to help them see their hand so they can do the work that it takes to get there today. And I genuinely believe if your energy is dispersed out here, forward, ahead of you, that's where your anxiety, at least in relation to time and emotional dysregulation, comes from. Because you're setting up expectations ahead of you. You're setting up in front of you, setting up so much to be done in front of you without having the present moment and the application opportunity to say, oh, I do want to do this. I can do this. I should do this. I can pivot here. I can move here. I shouldn't pursue this any longer. I should let this go. I should keep going. When all of your energy is in the future, you're just sitting like this. Like that one anti-Mary Jane commercial where that person's sitting on the couch like this. Deflated human being. just dreaming up everything, but not doing anything. And what's even scarier is if you're somebody who definitely dreams big and you are a talker a little bit, people will start to resent you based on how much you speak about your dreams and how little work you actually put in on making them happen. People will genuinely resent you, bro, because it feels like just storytelling, fantasies. And even you at some point will have to realize that. What are you other than a storyteller if you aren't the person who knows how to actualize into reality? You can't get there by hoping that, you know what, if I just wait long enough for April 25th of 2028, it'll happen. That's the one day this event's going to happen and I'll be able to be perfect when it shows up. Like, what? Like, I'm not saying that the day doesn't exist, but I'm saying, would you rather be somebody who waits for the perfect moment to hope that you also execute perfectly on the perfect moment? Or are you going to be cultivating somebody who is going to be as prepared as you possibly could be for that moment whenever it shows itself? But knowing if I'm focusing on that more than I'm focusing on the work I must do in my present moment, I'm never going to get there. And even if I do get there, I won't be prepared. Because I was abandoning addressing what I could control, what I could take care of today. My habits, my routines, the thoughts that I carry in my brain, at least a majority of them, because I know some of them just be sitting in there like some trauma, bro. And I don't expect you to be a complete healer, but what we can control, we will control. And we will be living in the reality that is a consequence of the decisions that we chose to make for ourselves. And I might as well explain this before I finish up this side. The anxiety is fear of potential pain, potential struggle, potential worry. And that allows you to start wasting energy in your brain, addressing circumstances that have not happened yet, further allowing you justification to invalidate yourself or to procrastinate instead of just doing the work and seeing what comes on the other side. Because I guarantee you the people who win are the people who have tried a bunch of times, but it's just the times that they've won just outnumber the times that they've lost, at least in significance. Now, the back end. And I don't want you to sit here and think that I'm just like some freaking like super therapist and I'm just like telling you how to freaking work your brain. I understand a lot of these concepts help, but it's to help put the ball back in your court or back in your hands. To realize that, hey, taking responsibility for my life, my mental health, my circumstances, like I can do that. And I can create a life that also accommodates and assists me in being able to do that as best as I possibly can. And I don't need to wait for somebody to save me from myself. I can partake in helping myself do that. And in taking those steps, I can also help others who are not as far on the journey as I am. So dragging it back to the past, these are the attachments that we have experienced, the pain that we've experienced and we refuse to let go. And personally, one of the reasons why the past pain was something that I refused to let go was because it gave me an identity almost. If you're somebody who is on the process of changing your life or bettering your life, you have to realize that not only will you be lonely, but there will be times where you are even confused as to who you are because you're quite literally becoming a different person. Thinks different thoughts, makes different decisions, hangs out with different people, goes and lives in different environments. And of course you should be confused, bro. And for many of us, I'm starting to realize that we forget as convenient as it is to hang on to the pain from our past, again, as a means of not taking responsibility for making or creating the space for better opportunities, we stop ourselves from even accessing happiness that could potentially come to us. We allow this to take up so much space in our brain bank, in our memory jar, that we don't even give ourselves the space or the awareness or the focus to be in a position present enough to welcome the future when the future wants to show itself. Because the future is going to be our ticket into the life that reminds us, hey, you know what? That's just an experience I endured. That's just a life that I used to live. That's not the person that I am. I constantly am going to bang on the top of the head. Energy, energy, energy. Emotions especially are energy, and you and your human body is an instrument utilized to turn those emotions into music that is your life. Or art, whatever you want to call it. Many people, now mind you, many people suffer with both anxiety and depression, which again, this is why I have just automatically been able to throw this is an emotional dysregulation issue. This is not a individualized person issue that everybody needs medication from. This is a collective social issue. Mind you, this is a social failure to allow so many people to be this dysregulated and just continue to open up the slots of industries you can create to sell them pseudo healing. Now, I can't even call it pseudo healing, bro. Literally fake supplements and fake medication, bro. When you don't understand, or I guess you do understand because you can't commodify it, the medication that is joy, laughter, peace, happiness, acceptance, self-acceptance, appreciation, reciprocation. You can't profit off of that. You have to exclusively protect that when it's able to cultivate itself, wherever you find it. The point that I was trying to get to, actually, because I think I did a tangent, we live in a society that allows people to, instead of addressing this dysregulation and how much they hate their lives or themselves, they take this and then they find other people who also hate themselves or their lives just as much, and then build communities based off of that self-hating, negative emotion identity, rather than being oh, we're in community with each other because we're both pursuing regulation of our emotions. We're both pursuing deeper levels of self-acceptance. We're both pursuing, and on that journey, there's going to be unique obstacles and struggles and issues that we have to address with our own perception and awareness and reality. But because the goal is similar, we can help each other infinitely, going on different experiences, attempting to actualize a similar result. That is, again, unique to ourselves, so we don't have to compromise each other's truth or the ability to actualize that for the sake of being in relationship or being around somebody. And you're never going to get over the depression if the people that you hang around validate it so hard, but validate it to an extent that you aren't able to see, you know what? I am worthy of taking responsibility for. I am worthy of making the decisions that can put me in a position to where I am not stagnant emotionally. I am full of life in my present moment, and I'm able to learn from everything that's happened in my past. But even better than that, I'm able to receive the opportunities that come from the future, getting ready to bless me for who I am every day. I'm gonna make sure this is still recording. Yeah, hell yeah. Now, the main jam, the main squeeze that I have to get to on this page is the present moment. The main squeeze that we get on here is most people, it is socially acceptable as hell to escape your present moment because existing fully here is the best, if not only opportunity you have of making any decisions in your life that will actually change it. For the better or the worse, I can't tell you. But this present moment, being able to exist fully aware here, that is the power position. Everyone comment your favorite power position in the comments. Whoever gets the best comment gets a free Cosmic Nomad shirt. But this is where you need to be. Existing in where your 10 toes are. Because this is where you get to play the game. The future doesn't exist yet. We're creating that now. The past doesn't exist anymore. We've already lived through that. Let's learn from it and let it go. The existential stuff, there's 8 billion of us here. We live or we die. You have to remember how valuable you are. And I hope all these videos help you do that. The world is huge. The world is infinite. The universe is crazy, but you are valuable. You are special. You are important. And being able to take responsibility for even the small habits that you entertain in your life, you're going to see how powerful you truly are. And that is going to be a life worth living on the other side of. No matter how much you lose to get there, I promise to God. A couple of things that we do to avoid our present moment as a consequence of living in this mass survival mode society. Dissociation, self-abandonment. I like to call that hooking up with people who hate you, or taking drugas with people who also don't have no kind of personal responsibility in their lives and don't actually want to do anything. Mind you, this is not me against drugas. I am a stoner. But when we are taking these medication to avoid our present moment, to avoid the trauma that we are running away from, to avoid the future expectations or responsibilities that we could have, to avoid ourselves and facing ourselves in the mirror for who we really are, that's not good. That is sabotage. That is self-abuse, not just abandonment. Because one, you're abandoning yourself. Two, you're abusing yourself as a means of abandoning yourself. And somehow you're attempting to find other people who say, well, yeah, we all get blackout drunk every weekend. Yeah, we all smoke a lot. So much so we can't walk. And then a bunch of other stuff that people do, which God bless whatever path you on, bro. But it's almost like it's so simple, and it's so simple, it just doesn't seem like it can be right. We live in a world where what seems like the salvation or the solution to our problems, it just over time has just been constantly like fuel added to the fire. And now we think that we need a whole freaking monstrosity to answer our calls or our cries. And it's like, no. I'm starting to realize that, not at all. And it's never been that. The truth of the matter is, when we reject and run away from ourselves just so much, whether that's running into the future, or sticking into the past, or just completely running away from the present, just into any direction, or attempting to cover up our ability to validate ourselves by escaping to the validation of society, because at least those people look like they have it figured out, we only make it more difficult to be able to take those steps closer to ourselves and to be even able to develop a relationship with ourselves enough to know what we want and what life we want to live and who we want to be and how we want to express ourselves. So when opportunities do come up to serve you in your present moment, again, it might feel like you're being punished. Genuinely. It might feel like the world hates you. Forgive me, I had to make sure I'm not going over time. Halftime. Half a turkey, half a sandwich. Halftime. Papa, wipe up, my nigga. Halftime. And I forgot what I was going to say. But attempting to go back in time before I just had that little side note. This is where we want to be. When we cut ourselves off from this, we put ourselves at the full mercy as to, again, the society that will give us an identity, give us responsibility, and give us something to worry about. If we aren't willing to do that for ourselves, or at least find a way in doing that that is authentic to who we are and allows us to give the fullness of who we are to life every single day, because that's what we came here to do. When you're doing what you love, when you're involved, invested in what you care about, it's not about the money. It's not about the validation your identity gets. It's about what you can truly do and create and provide to this greater world that is affected by your existence. Like, I hope you guys really notice, especially during this too, and the present moment, like the running away, self-sabotage, self-reject. Like, I hope you guys really realize, like, most people hate themselves. Most people hate themselves. I genuinely believe that. And if you're somebody who loves yourself, even if it's somebody who doesn't necessarily hate themselves, you're waking up all of their insecurities. You challenge all the beliefs that they thought they were supposed to have. You run them back on all the decisions that they made that forced them to abandon themselves to hope that external validation was going to save them from the pain that was cutting off their own heart and soul from their being. And it never will. But you can compensate by overdoing the having a good time, right? I was going to do the but I'm not going to do that. There's kids. And you know, I'm all about protecting the kids. So let's get into final part here. Actually, let's make sure this is still recording, and then we're going to get into the final part, because I hate when this thing stops. Oh, perfect. Okay. So this is what I'm trying to get to. I already explained this earlier in the video, but your body is the focal point that utilizes and co-creates the concept of time. Your mind decides if you are a consequence of society time or a creation of your authentic soul's time. That is the main decision that you're going to be asked to make in this life, if you get that deep with your awareness. You know what society does to people who express themselves authentically when that runs against the grain that is being fed. Okay? Are you still willing to do it though? Are you going to continue to beat down who you really are and how you, or at least stop yourself from pursuing a journey that could allow you to understand how to accommodate yourself totally in alignment with who you are? For the cheap shit that they give you to escape yourself? There's not enough drugs, alcohol, sex, gossip, drama, materialistic things you can buy that will cover up a self-rejecting soul. We will see it on your face. Those of us who love ourselves will see it on your face, bro. And it'll be disgusting to hang around that, bro. That's why I got to keep them bodies up away from me, bro. I got to keep them bodies up away from me. Man, I think this was a great video, man. I went into mad tangent with this one, bro. This is like an hour and a half. I already know it. But yeah, I think we did good work here. When you genuinely believe that you are the creator of your reality and you are not being barred from taking responsibility for your life by anybody, I'm telling you, bro, life starts to turn into a game that's fun. Like, I'm telling you, the bad and the good, all of it is just like, as long as you get the opportunity to address it and to be yourself, you're like, forget it, bro, throw it at me. And that's what I hope that's the kind of awareness that we develop as a consequence of this video. You exist here in the present moment, you learn from your past, and you dream into your future. And you recognize these social expectations only get more increasing or only affect you at a significant level the more you are willing to reject your own self and your own truth. But the more aware you are of your own truth, then you realize everything above you can be utilized as a tool to actualize your self-expression and actualization, or at least give you a better chance of being yourself. And sometimes a part of this human experience is being so yourself that you run against what is socially validated, especially when it comes to authenticity. This is a great video. It's a lot of yapping, but I'm watching my videos back and I'm realizing, you know what? These are some pretty dope yap sessions. Like, we're gonna be coming back here in however many years and just like, damn, like we started this thing off with a bang, and I'm very thankful for that. So now that we're at the conclusion of this video, you think I'm cute? You want to have Instagram?